You ever have that one sibling who just wins everything? My sister Victoria was that person. From the day she was born, she was the princess. I was the spare part nobody asked for. Mom and Dad owned a successful property development company. Nothing massive, but enough to build a comfortable life. Victoria got the private schools, the designer clothes, the pony at 10, the convertible at 17. Me? I went to the local comprehensive, worked weekends at a chip shop from 15, and paid my own way through university with student loans and night shifts. She never let me forget it. Family dinners were her stage. "Oh, Alex, still driving that rust bucket? Dad said he'd buy me the new Audi next month." Everyone laughed. Dad would nod proudly. Mum would smile like it was charming. By our 20s, the favoritism was blatant. Dad started helping her with investments, £200,000 for her first flat in Kensington, just a gift. Another £300,000 for her wedding to some finance bro. Then a £1.2 million house in Chelsea because she needed space for the kids. I was still renting a one-bed in Zone 3, saving every penny. Victoria would call me on holidays. "Alex, you should see the Maldives view from our villa. Dad paid for the whole thing. You really should ask for a raise at that little job of yours." She'd laugh like it was a joke. It never felt like one. Then came the cancer diagnosis. Dad's. He fought for 2 years. During that time, Victoria moved back in, playing the perfect daughter, crying on cue, holding his hand, whispering how much she loved him. I visited every weekend, but she made sure I knew I was second place. One night, after Dad was too weak to argue, she cornered me in the kitchen. "Don't worry, little brother. When the will comes, I'll make sure you get something. Maybe the old car." She winked. I didn't reply. I just left. Dad passed in June 2025. The funeral was packed. Victoria wore designer black, accepted condolences like royalty. I stood at the back, quiet. Everyone assumed the bulk of the estate, £12 million in properties, investments, cash, would go to her. She'd earned it, right? The golden child. The will reading was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Victoria texted the family group, "Can't wait to celebrate Dad's legacy properly. Drinks on me after," with a champagne emoji. I didn't respond. I just waited. And then we all walked into that lawyer's office, and everything changed. But the real shock wasn't what she got. It was what happened when the lawyer finally opened the last page. The lawyer's office smelled like old books and expensive coffee. 10 of us crammed around the mahogany table. Mum, Victoria, and her husband, a few cousins, me in the corner chair. Mr. Hargreaves, Dad's solicitor for 30 years, adjusted his glasses. "We'll read the will in full, as per Mr. Carter's instructions." He started simple. Personal items to Mum, a few small bequests to cousins, then my name. To my son, Alexander, £50,000 and my grandfather's pocket watch. Victoria snorted loudly. 50 grand? That's cute." She leaned back, arms crossed, smirking at her husband like I was a charity case. The room chuckled nervously. Mum looked down at her hands. Then came Victoria's turn. "To my daughter, Victoria, the sum of £5 million sterling, to be held in trust until she reaches age 45, with income distributions at the trustee's discretion." Her jaw dropped for half a second, then she exploded into laughter. Real belly laughter. "5 million? Oh my God, Dad, you legend!" She clapped her hands. "I knew it! I told you all!" She turned to me, eyes sparkling. "Alex, don't worry. I'll let you borrow the yacht sometime. Maybe." More laughter from the cousins. Her husband high-fived her. She kept going, listing plans out loud. New house in Notting Hill, private school fees paid off, that Maldives villa we've been eyeing. And I'm finally quitting that boring board position. Freedom, baby. Mum smiled weakly. The lawyer cleared his throat. There is one additional document. A codicil Mr. Carter added 6 months before his passing. Sealed, to be opened only after the main bequests are read. Victoria waved it off. Probably just some sentimental note. Read it. Let's celebrate. Mr. Hargreaves hesitated. He looked at me, actually looked at me, for the first time that afternoon. Victoria rolled her eyes. Come on, don't drag this out. I've got a champagne brunch booked. The lawyer opened the envelope. His voice dropped. And now, the final clause. Victoria leaned forward, still grinning, but the grin was about to disappear forever. The room went quiet the moment Mr. Hargreaves said, codicil. Victoria's smile stayed frozen, but her eyes narrowed. He unfolded the single page slowly. This was executed in private, witnessed by 2 independent parties. Your father was very clear. It only takes effect after the primary dispositions are announced. Victoria tapped her manicured nails. Okay, fine. What does it say? That I get the beach house too? A few awkward laughs. But the lawyer didn't smile. He began reading. I, Reginald Carter, being of sound mind, do hereby add this codicil to my last will and testament. Victoria interrupted. Blah, blah, legal stuff. Get to the good part. Mr. Hargreaves ignored her. And declare that any beneficiary who has received advances, gifts, or loans from my estate in excess of £100,000 in the 10 years preceding my death must provide full accounting and repayment with compound interest at 5% per annum before receiving their bequest. Victoria blinked. What? That's ridiculous. I never took loans. Those were gifts. The lawyer continued. Furthermore, all such transactions shall be reviewed by the executor, and any amounts deemed repayable shall be deducted from the beneficiary's share. Should the total advances exceed the bequest, the beneficiary shall forfeit their inheritance entirely, and the forfeited amount shall pass to the residual beneficiary. Mum gasped softly. Victoria's husband shifted uncomfortably. Victoria laughed again, but it sounded forced. Dad would never. He gave me those as gifts. Family support. Everyone knows that. Mr. Hargreaves looked up. Your father documented everything. Bank transfers, property purchases, cash withdrawals. He labeled them clearly in his private ledger. Victoria's face paled slightly. Ledger? What ledger? The lawyer pulled out a thick folder. This one, prepared by your father personally. She stared at it like it was a snake. He flipped open the first page. Exhibit A, £1.2 million transfer to Victoria for residence purchase, dated 2018. Noted as advance against future inheritance. Victoria's voice rose. That was a gift. He said so. Exhibit B, £800,000 for wedding and honeymoon 2020, marked loan, repayable on demand. The room started whispering. Cousins looked at each other. Victoria slammed her hand on the table. This is insane! Dad forgave those! Mr. Hargreaves kept reading. The codicil revokes any prior forgiveness unless expressly reaffirmed in writing after the date of this document. No such reaffirmation exists. Silence. Victoria's eyes darted to Mum. Mum, tell them Tell them Dad said those were gifts." Mum looked away, tears in her eyes. Victoria's breathing quickened. How much does it say I owe?" The lawyer scanned the pages. The total documented advances come to £6.8 million, including interest accrued. Victoria laughed, hysterically. "That's impossible. I'm getting $5 million. I'll be fine." But the lawyer wasn't finished. "Not quite," he said quietly. Victoria stood up. "This is a joke, a sick joke. Dad wouldn't do this to me." Mr. Hargreaves remained calm. "The figures are clear. £6.8 million in documented advances. Your bequest is £5 million. After deduction, your share is negative £1.8 million. She stared. "Negative? What does that even mean?" "It means," the lawyer said, "you owe the estate £1.8 million. The codicil requires immediate repayment. Failure to repay results in forfeiture of all claims, and the forfeited bequest passes to the residual beneficiary, your brother, Alexander." The room froze. Victoria's husband whispered, "Vic, did you know about the loans?" She spun on him. "Shut up!" She turned back to the lawyer. I've already spent some of it, on credit. I took out loans against the expected inheritance. The bank approved based on Dad's verbal promise." Mum whispered, "Victoria?" Victoria ignored her. "So what? I'll just pay it back later. I'll sell the house, the cars." The lawyer shook his head. "The codicil has a further provision. Any beneficiary who has encumbered their expected share through loans, liens, or assignments prior to vesting triggers an automatic forfeiture clause. Your bank statements, which your father requested from your accountant last year, show £3.2 million in secured loans against the anticipated £5 million. Victoria's face drained of color. He asked for my statements?" "Yes, he suspected. He confirmed." She staggered back into her chair. No, this can't." Her husband tried to touch her arm. She slapped it away. "Don't. This is your fault, too. You said we could spend." The cousins started shifting uncomfortably. Mum was crying silently. Victoria looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time. "You knew, didn't you? You planned this." I didn't answer. I just sat there. She screamed at the lawyer. "This is fraud! I'll contest it! I'll sue!" Mr. Hargreaves sighed. "Contesting triggers the in terrorem clause. You lose everything, including any residual rights." She started hyperventilating. I can't owe £1.8 million. I'll lose the house, the kids' school, everything." The room was dead silent. Then the lawyer said the words that broke her completely. "There's one final detail in the codicil, the one your father insisted on personally." Victoria's eyes widened in terror. Mr. Hargreaves read the final sentence clearly, no emotion in his voice. "Should any beneficiary's net entitlement after deductions fall below zero, the executor is directed to pursue full recovery through all available legal means, including, but not limited to, the seizure of personal assets previously acquired with estate funds. Furthermore, the residual beneficiary, Alexander, shall be granted first right of refusal to purchase any such assets at fair market value, with proceeds applied to the outstanding debt." Victoria collapsed into her chair like the air had been sucked out of her. The Chelsea house? Bought with Dad's gift money. The cars? Same. The private school fees she'd prepaid? Funded by advances. All of it was traceable. She looked around wildly. "Mum, help me. Please." Mum shook her head slowly. "I begged your father not to do this. He said you'd understand one day." Victoria's voice cracked. "I can't lose everything. Alex, Alex, please. We're family." I stood up for the first time. I looked at her, really looked, and said quietly, "You laughed at my £50,000. You said I'd never amount to anything. You spent millions that weren't yours yet. Now the bill's due." She started sobbing. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I'll pay you back. I'll do anything." The lawyer spoke. "The estate will proceed with recovery. You have 30 days to liquidate assets or arrange repayment. Otherwise, we file." Victoria's husband stood up. "We're leaving." She grabbed his arm. "No, we need to fight this." He pulled away. "Fight? You spent it all, Vic. We're ruined." He walked out. The cousins followed quietly. Mum stayed, tears streaming. "I'm sorry, Victoria. I should have stopped it years ago." Victoria looked at me one last time, begging, broken. I didn't say another word. I just nodded to the lawyer, took the pocket watch from the table, and walked out. Behind me, I heard her collapse into full sobs. 5 million became 0, then negative. Then the life she'd built on borrowed time crumbled. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Success is the quietest revenge. And for the first time in my life, the silence felt perfect.